La méditation, c'est avant tout
Meditation is first and above all the art and the path to encounter silence.
faire le silence. Il faut avoir une éthique
It's to have ethics, a profound sense of ethics,
envers la confiance.
of trust in human nature. Me, I have confidence in the human nature.
Merci Dani d'avoir accepté cette rencontre.
Thank you, Danis, for having accepted this informal interview, which allows the opportunity for this conversation. What would be interesting regarding all the forms of meditation which exist nowadays would be to know what the full presence meditation entails specifically.
La pleine présence.
Oui. Oui, c'est une question importante. Mais
Yes, an important question, but delicate to answer at the same time, because we would rather not enter a game of comparison
quelle
here.
qu'elle soit.
I think all forms of meditation are very important
Pour la
for knowing
connaissance,
oneself,
aller vers l'accomplissement de soi,
for self-fulfillment,
développer ses
to
compétences,
develop cognitive and intellectual capacities,
pour même améliorer ses états.
even to improve the state of physiological health, mental and emotional health, and to better control emotions.
Là-dessus, il y a
In addition to this, scientific evidence has proven that meditation has its importance
avait son importance. Et sur le plan cognitif, et sur
on a cognitive level, for health,
de la santé,
and even in the field of education and academic performance.
performance scolaire. Là. Donc ça, c'est très important.
This is what is very
Non,
important.
donc, celle qui est la plus connue,
The one form of meditation which is most popular at the moment is mindfulness.
dire que
I can say that full presence meditation makes use of the major concepts of mindfulness.
les grands concepts de la méditation en pleine conscience, lorsqu'il s'agit d'activer
When it comes to the way in which it is activating cognition, in which it is optimizing the attentional resources,
lorsqu'il s'agit,
and the way in which it is expanding one's range of consciousness.
on retrouve les mêmes
So here we recognize the same principles, the same phenomena.
présents. Comment être
How to be
conscient de ceci,
present,
comment être conscient
how to
de
be
cela,
aware of this, how to be aware of that, how to be conscious of our thoughts, and how to be conscious of what it is that we are actually doing.
émotionnel, et comment
How to be aware of our mental state, of our emotional state. And how can I have control over these things? Through mastering them psychologically in the mind.
Là, on pose la question différemment.
Here we ask the question
On n'est
differently.
pas nécessairement
Here we don't necessarily limit ourselves to being conscious of,
prendre conscience,
being aware of.
mais plutôt
But the question is rather
être
how to actually be present in and to what we do.
à notre pensée,
How to be present to our thoughts.
à ce que nous ressentons,
How to be present to what we feel inside ourselves.
de se poser la question comment être
This is
conscient.
different than asking how to be aware or how to be conscious, because a relational factor is involved here, which is not systematically found in the task of becoming aware.
Conscient
So yes, meditation allows to extend
permet d'étendre,
one's range of awareness.
permet
It allows insights
de façon à ce que l'on puisse
in a way that it affects our attitudes, our behavior, our way of being in the world.
nos façons d'être. Mais nous, on soigne la relation.
But in the full presence meditation, we heal the relationship. While consciousness seems to be a function, full presence seems to be a relationship. It seems to be about a relational quality.
Dans toute relation,
And as in all relationships, if there isn't a quality which is established between, for example, two people, it will
la relation sera différente
The relationship will be different if it is a relationship where one is limited to the objective facts like hello, how are you, this kind of thing. Then if presence animates the relationship, if there is an interest, a curiosity for one another. So, to really understand the full presence meditation, we begin with building awareness skills. But most of all, it is about developing a way of really relating with quality. A quality which makes that encounter an enriching experience for both protagonists involved in relationship. But during meditation, before relating with others, with the world, or even with that something greater than us, well, one first has to learn how to create a good relationship with oneself. And so, full presence meditation teaches us primarily to look after the presence we have to ourselves, with a quality of goodwill, with a relational quality, which makes us enter a relationship with our personal, intimate life. And once we have developed this relationship of presence with ourselves, naturally, the relationships with others will improve, will become more rich. And this way, we will develop a relationship of presence to others. It is rather natural.
When we talk about stepping into relationship with ourselves intimately, are there any, I was going to say tools, but it's not really that. What is it that we do specifically in the full presence meditation to establish this relationship with oneself so intimately? What is that something that is perhaps more profound than what we can usually perceive?
Yes, there is. But before talking about the how, we should reflect on the why do we want to meditate. Asking yourself this question is already an act of meditation. And so, why do I meditate, me personally? Well, of course, I can meditate for my well-being. I can meditate to develop my attentional, perceptual and intellectual capacity. Perhaps to have better control over my life or over my emotions. I can meditate to have a more appropriate attitude in relation to my aspiration in life, and my profound aspiration precisely, which is to share what I have encountered in the interior of myself and to spread it. This is why when I meditate a lot, and I have really meditated a lot, in certain moments in meditation, I sense a very, but really very deep feeling of a human warmth, even before it expresses itself outwardly. This human warmth, as I perceive it, is really a natural quality of life, a natural quality of human nature. As long as I have a good-willing presence towards myself, without complacency, without self-satisfaction, but really a kindness towards the self, which means to avoid self-judgment. Judgment is cold. It isn't something warm, it's cold. Judgment is cold for oneself, not warm. Well, here, human warmth produces effects, concrete, organic manifestations, organic, meaning that which you feel inside your own body.
Et même, j'ai même réussi à répertorier.
I managed to identify the mechanism, if you will, like an elevator, where the more I go into depth,
Dans la profondeur, plus je vais percevoir.
the more I experience through the unfolding of a perception of self.
Eh bien, on va commencer à percevoir.
So as I begin to perceive these intimate dimensions or manifestations, events inside of oneself which I would not have access to had I not taken this elevator and gone to the depth. I wouldn't know, am I in the basement or on the 10th floor? I wouldn't know.
Soit on prend la métaphore.
So in any case, if we agree on this metaphor of depth, and we talk about going towards the base, towards the root, or on the contrary, we talk about going to the 10th floor, and in that case a metaphor which rather tends towards the elevation of the self,
À profondeur, plus on s'élève.
I have the impression that the deeper we sink within, the more we are elevated, like a special kind of elevator going in two directions simultaneously. So what we encounter first in meditation, when we are extremely relaxed and we really penetrate the silence, but deeply. When I say penetrate the silence, I mean to inhabit it, inhabit the silence, being present in the silence. That in fact the silence is filled with, inhabited by oneself. There is a warmth that settles in the body, but a profound warmth.
Et puis on sent les zones.
At first a little peripheral, but we do start to feel the areas that are more or less warm or more or less cold. And progressively, gradually, as we continue to meditate, as we meditate more and more deeply,
Il y a
as the mind takes a little more time out, as it skips school more often, so to say, mind leaves us in peace a little more. In this moment, there is a warmth which spreads.
le cœur.
This warmth will increase an embodied relationship with oneself. The heart becomes warm, very warm, and this warmth will spread throughout the whole body, throughout all the cells.
Un état de sécurité.
And this is always accompanied by a state of well-being, a state of trust, a state of safety. We have the impression that we are now able to live and experience what was hidden to our senses until then. This warmth will generate a strong sense of depth inside of us, and we feel ourselves in the depth of ourselves.
On peut par
And at this point, by making the experience of this depth, we can eventually become aware that we often tend to live a little superficially.
très souvent.
What is revealed to us now is that in fact we are very often superficial. So we get to the point of having a sort of cursor, if you like, to stay in touch with the reality of our depth.
L'extérieur.
And we have to negotiate with the outside world not to lose this depth inside of us. And this depth gives us the feeling of a certain integrity, of a globality. We are whole. We are global. Global in the sense of balanced between heart and mind, between thought and body, between the others and oneself.
On arrive même à se
We
réconcilier.
even manage to reconcile with ourselves.
Et c'est à ce moment-là, donc, que-
And that is when we enter a feeling of presence,
mais de présence.
but really presence to
Quand
oneself.
je dis de présence à soi, ça veut dire on se
With
sent
presence to oneself, I mean the feeling of really being here, also in the sense of being in our place. One feels worthy of what one can look forward to being a human being, meaning to be someone who lives this warmth and who therefore tends naturally towards warm interactions.
vers des actions chaleureuses. Et puis curieusement,
And then, curiously, in this elevator,
à chaque étage,
where each floor corresponds to warmth, to depth, to integrity, a sense of globality, and the feeling of self, the presence to oneself. At the end, we in ourselves really have the affirmation. We really have the feeling to exist, meaning we have the feeling to be present to the present moment. We are not out of sync with the present. We are not in the past. We are not in the future. We are actually here in the present, in the immediate. And there is nothing more alive than that which emerges directly in the immediate moment. Everything is set into motion, nothing is fixed. The now isn't fixed. If it would be, temporality would stop. We cannot not be in the immediate moment. There is not a single human being who can escape that. Everything is in the immediate moment. The past is a succession of an immediacy. The future will be an episode of the same. But whether we are in the future or in the past, we are always anchored to the moment. And the immediate moves. It is motion constantly. That's life. This movement is life. So what is specific to our meditation is the presence of a movement within us, which we may perceive. A presence of a very slow movement deeply embodied in our matter. The moment we become aware, it becomes possible to consciously notice the presence, because it really is a presence of an inner movement inside of our body. And there one has access to what is a property of the warmth of human nature. And before expressing this warmth with others, with one's life's companions, expressing this warmth with others and with the world, it is necessary, and this is one of the principles of full presence meditation, first and foremost to encounter the warmth of human nature, oneself, and to then share it with others. And so, what really moves me is the why do I meditate, and not the how do I meditate. It is important to first emphasize the question of why. To try to show dignity in how I view people's potential, the ideas I have about the development of humankind. I think humankind is better than what we see in society. I think this humanity could be more successful, more efficient in terms of goodwill and kindness, in terms of interconnection, in terms of solidarity. And therefore human warmth is at the core of the full presence meditation. The full presence meditation, from my perspective, is an action which one carries out to lift oneself towards one's nature, one's human nature, which is one of compassion, which is one of goodwill, of loving kindness, which is one of human warmth.